What's good, YouTube? Jay Lee here, got another Northwest podcast. Today I want to discuss whether alpha females exist or not. What is an alpha female? Does that exist? It's something that people talk about, particularly women, feminist women. Oh, I'm an alpha female. I'm this career-driven, strong, independent woman. That's alpha, woo, woo, woo. Well, if you listen to my channel, you'll know that I don't usually get into alpha, beta, omega, sigma, gamma, delta crap a whole lot, because how do you categorize, and I think it was Philion from iPhilion fame YouTube channel who did a great job on explaining why the whole alpha male bro science culture shit is bullshit. Because how the hell do you define an alpha male, right? No man is winning, totally dominant, totally in control of every situation he's in at all times. Woo. So really the term alpha in mainstream pop culture is bullshit. The real definition, if you actually really study, now you can get into the archetypes, and I have before, and I probably consider myself a gamma with maybe alpha tendencies. But then again, we can all be beta at any time. It depends on how you define it. And if you really get into the archetypes, it kind of crosses over into that, like Myers-Briggs, are you an INTJ, are you an INFP, woo-woo, all this stuff where you just take how you think you act and then put it in these categories, and then, oh, I must be that. And it's kind of like astrology, right? At a certain point, it's like, it's just, is it really that exact? I don't know. Like, I've done that stuff. I'm a Leo, right? I'm a Leo, and I do feel like I behave like a Leo, right? So maybe there's some truth to it. I studied Myers-Briggs once upon a time, and I've long thought that I was an INTJ, which apparently is a pretty rare one. I long thought I was, but at times I wasn't sure if I was an INTJ or an INFJ or whatever. Very weird kind of mental astrology kind of stuff. And you can do the same thing. You could apply that same concept to the archetypes. Are you an alpha, beta, sigma, woo, 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 right? You can get into that. And it's like, it's kind of like, maybe you are, maybe you're not. Sometimes I might act like a Leo. Maybe sometimes I might act like a Pisces or a Taurus, or, and like, it might be. I don't know. One of my last girlfriends was a Taurus, and she certainly acted like a Taurus. And she was also one of these quote unquote alpha female types, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. But it's like, are you always acting like a Taurus? Maybe sometimes you're acting like a Sagittarius. Are you always acting like a Leo? Maybe sometimes you're acting like a, whatever, Scorpio. Like, who knows? Like, it just depends on your mood, depends on where you're at in your life. Depends on how what's influencing you at the time. There's so many variables, right? So it's the same thing with the alpha beta kind of thing. But I do sometimes use it in general. I do sometimes use it. Now, when you really study, and when you take away the human archetype explanations, which you can Google and they're all there and it is what it is. If you take that away and you actually go to nature and you study what alpha is in nature, particularly, because a lot of times humans use wolf packs and a lot of times humans use lion packs for some reason. It's always lion packs and wolf packs. Maybe those are the ones that are the most applicable because they do run in packs, right? Maybe it's the pack behavior and how you... Okay, I get that there's a science behind it, but it's very difficult to really pin humans down because humans don't really run in packs unless you're talking about family. Then it is a pack, right? So it is applicable in that case scenario if you want to apply that, if you want to. You don't have to, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? It really doesn't matter. But if we're going to apply it to humans, you really need to apply it to the family unit, not a pack of friends. Yeah, maybe you could say, oh, well, the guy who's dominant, he's the one who everybody looks to and he's the leader. You could say that's the alpha. You could say that, but is he constantly dominant? Is he constantly alpha? Is he constantly winning all the time? Probably not. So in some instances, he might act really beta. And then is he the alpha in that instance? Probably not. It's just weird. It's weird. It gets cringy, and that's why I would say if you really are into it, go watch iPhilion. Go watch iPhilion because he tears it down, and he makes great points, and his points are valid. And at the end of the day, it's kind of true. Like, do we really need to just constantly be worried about who's alpha and who's beta? I'd say just live your life, man. Like, if you're beta, be a beta. If you're alpha, be an alpha. If you're an omega, be an omega. Just be the best you can and be happy. Don't be worried about, I'm totally a sigma, but I want to be an alpha. Like, just be yourself, man. Be what you are. Be what God created you to be. And be happy, and try to be happy, and try not to be a dick to anyone else. Try not to be negative, and try not to hurt anyone. Like, follow the golden rule. Like, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Don't worry about who's an alpha and who's, I got to be more alpha, because it gets cringy. And then guys try too hard, and they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, a lot of times it's like trying to put wear a shoe that doesn't fit you. It's like, just be what you are. Who cares? Like, if you're a beta, be a beta. It's like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. In fact, I made a video about this a couple years back when I was talking about how being a beta is not actually necessarily that bad of a thing. You're next to the alpha. Betas are usually second in line, meaning when the alpha eats or when the pack eats, the betas eat, right? But in pop science and in pop culture, we say, oh, you're beta, meaning you're weak, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And particularly when I watched this video, which is a fantastic video. This is one of the best Rich Cooper videos I've ever seen, actually. He has this woman on. I'm going to turn the volume down. But he has this woman on, and she's a married woman with a child, and she's talking about, her experience with leaving feminism, and she makes great points. She really, I was really impressed with this. It's just a short clip, like a 5-minute clip on Rich Cooper clips, and she makes some great points, and Richard Cooper brings up a great point at the end where he says there's really no such thing as an alpha female. And I was thinking that, I actually made a comment that, about that before even the end where he brings that up. But apparently he said that they did do a video on it, discussing whether or not there was such a thing as an alpha female. And I say no, there's not. I really don't think female nature is supposed to be alpha. I don't believe so. It's not like that in the wild at all, really. Well, let me say this. In wolf packs, it's a bit different in the wolf packs and in animal packs, because they attribute the spouse or counterpart, whatever you want to call it, the woman, the female, whether it's an alpha, the female lion, or whether it's a lion or a wolf or whatever pack, hyena, whatever. Of course, hyenas are a little bit different because hyena packs are matriarchal. Anyway, so it gets complicated, but the alpha female in the wild, in the lion and the wolf pack, is the female that is mating with the alpha male. And I don't know that I don't know that they're monogamous. I don't think they are. I know lions aren't for sure. I'm not sure if wolves are, but so actually there might not be, I don't know. They just call them alpha because it's the leading one. And actually when it comes to lions, the women or the female lions hunt. The female lions are the ones that do the hunting, and the male lions come in and they do hunt. They do their own hunting, but it's mostly protection. The male lions mostly protect the pride, and the female lions are the ones who actually do the hunting, I believe. Anyway, that's where it gets complicated, and it doesn't always cross over. And there's so many variables. There's so many just different variables that you have to factor in, whether or not, is this person alpha? Is this woman alpha? Woo woo. But here's what you really need to cut. Here's what I really want to talk about. And here's how to cut to the chase. What it really comes down to is females should not be leading. Human females should not be leading in society. It's an unsightly thing. It's an unseemly thing. It's not to say that they can never take the lead. It's not to say that, in some circumstances they aren't right per se. It's not to say that sometimes maybe a man needs to back off a little bit and let her take the lead sometimes in certain ways. But when she's always leading and when she's dominant and controlling, particularly psychologically and emotionally over the relationship, That is not an alpha female. That is a manipulative narcissist. There's a difference. Okay, and when it comes to just in general human behavior, there are times when men are wrong and women are right, and this is even in the Bible. You can go study that. The book of Ruth, the book of Esther. Okay, actually, I'm not sure if Esther has a book. I think she does. I think there's two women books in the Bible. Let me Google that real quick. I'm pretty sure there are, and that's a significant thing because the Bible specifically says that men are supposed to lead the family. Men are supposed to lead the households. So let me see this. How many female books are in the Bible? Right there. Possibility of women in the Bible. How many female? Give me an answer, Google. Yeah, Esther and Ruth. That's it. And they were both actually written by men. The book of Ruth was written by Samuel, and the book of Esther was written by Mordecai. So there's two books in the Bible about women, named after women, out of 66 books total. And they're both in the Old Testament. And the New Testament clearly specifies that men are the leaders of the household and women need to submit to the man. Now, what gets often misconstrued and often to the detriment of everyone, particularly when it comes to feminists, is they love to act like men are dictators in their leadership. And that is, maybe men have been, and maybe men need to check themselves, because that is not your role. Your role is not a dictator in a family. And I see a lot of men making that mistake. They feel that they have to control everything, and I'm the man, I'm strong, woo woo. And some women like that, and some women can use that to their own advantage, but some women are attracted to men like that who are controlling. But anybody who is controlling in a relationship is pretty much cancer for the relationship. You should not be controlling in a relationship. You need to be teamwork. You need to be a team player in a relationship. That's what matters. And what matters is that everyone in the relationship has a common goal, which is happiness and success for everyone, and health and all the things that you guys have goals for, not in a selfish way, not in a, greedy way, but what's best for the family. That is the best case scenario. And if you have one person who's trying to bogart leadership, who is trying to take such a lead that he or she is controlling over everything, then you have a problem. However, sometimes certain people in a family relationship they don't realize they're being detrimental to the relationship, and sometimes there has to be fighting. I mean, I wouldn't say fighting. I don't want to use that word, but there has to be things done to do the right thing, because it's what it's really all about. When you really study what a real alpha, whether it's male, I wouldn't say whether male or female, that's incorrect. When you study what real alpha leader, I'll just say alpha leadership, period. Alpha leadership is for the best of the pack. That's what alpha, that term really means. And I said this before in many videos, if you're going to be an alpha, you have to do what's best for the pack on the one hand, or best for your family, okay, on the one hand, and it has to be the right thing. It has to be the righteous thing, because if you think you're doing the best for the pack and really it's coming out of a place of greediness or selfishness, that's not good for anyone, and it's probably going to end bad. So again, I watched this video, and she's pretty good. She's really good. I respected what she said. And at the end, he talks about there's really no such thing as an alpha female, and the alpha, if there is an alpha, quote unquote, alpha female in the relationship, what she really is she's a controlling, manipulative narcissist. Now, I didn't watch that other video where he was talking about, where he specifically talks about. I didn't watch that. So that's just coming from me. So if there's a woman in a relationship who is trying to control everything and she's trying to lead everything, that is a manipulator, and that is a narcissist, and that's not good. And men need to stay very far away from those type of women. It's best, and the Bible says this, but it's best, in my opinion, that the man is a leader, but then you have to question, and I would really emphasize this part, what is a quality male leader? What is quality male leadership? Is it just that the guy is successful? Is it just that the guy has a lot of money? Is it just that the guy, has a controlling personality or even a dominant personality? Is that what a real male leadership is? I don't think so. I think leadership for anybody is about doing the right thing, and I don't even know if I would use the word sacrifice. I use the word sacrifice tentatively, but I could say sacrificing his own good for the good of everyone in the family. There's a lot of sacrifice when it comes to male leadership. There's a lot of sacrifice when it comes to having a family in general. You're sacrificing your dating life, your sex life. You're sacrificing your time, your energy to care for the other person. You're sacrificing your freedom to an extent that you are, co-signing onto a relationship where it's a dualistic effort, and that takes sacrifice. Because when you're single and you're rogue, you're selfish, and you're all about yourself, and you are all about making yourself happy and doing this and doing that and going doing these hobbies and doing this fun thing, and a lot of that stuff you sacrifice when you enter into a relationship. Okay, so really, family and relationships are about sacrifice, and they're about growth. I would liken a family relationship to a garden. It starts out at a certain point, but you got some seeds there, what are the seeds? Love, respect, faithfulness, loyalty, happiness, joy, probably some comedy, mixed in there, some hobbies mixed in there, fun things to do. These are all things that are being lost in our culture because traditional relationships, I'd say even particularly traditional conservative relationships, with that emphasis on conservative, because when you have these relationships that are like liberal, and I wouldn't dip into that because it gets weird, I could make a whole nother video on that, maybe I will, but when you have traditional, and I would even say conservative, because conservative relationships and families have values. You need to have a structural foundation of values, okay? When you have these type of traditional relationships, you have values there, and it's a garden to grow your family. Really, you need to have love. You need to have togetherness, and it can go astray very easily, particularly if one of the parents is, not doing their job right, or not fully all in, or if there's a problem, if there's dysfunction between the parents, it'll basically ruin the garden. And what is the garden? Again, it's growing. Not only are you growing your kids, right? Because a traditional family does, and I'd say I tentatively use that word, should have kids. Nowadays it's like should, yeah. From a red pill perspective, a lot of what we talk about in the red pill is guarding against the negative things, guarding against these liberal things that are really ruining our society. But again, what's the answer? What's the antidote to that? Well, I would say traditional values, right? What is a lot of what has ruined families? Where did that come from? Feminism, liberalism, because they don't have morals. These are the people who are atheists. These are the people who say, morality is subjective. These are the people who say, oh yeah, you can go be promiscuous. There's no consequences. They don't even know that there's consequences, right? So how can these people tell us and tell the world how we should have our relationship, how we should have our family? That doesn't make any sense. In reality, you need values. And why? Because values are one of the cornerstones of having a quality family. You have to have values to support the family. Right? It's not just discipline and hard work and the guy brings home the money. Like that's a part of it. And nowadays, maybe the woman brings home money too. It's what she, idealistically, the man should work. But again, if we're looking at it from the red pill perspective, what does she bring to the table? Unless she's really a submissive, traditional, conservative woman, what are you going to work for? Because if she's just going to sit at home and be lazy and, watch makeup tutorials and post on Twitter and do this, it's like she's not wife She's not quality wife material. She needs to be raising the child. She should be, keeping the house clean and tidy. If you're sacrificing 8 hours of your day and your energy and time to go put food on the table and pay the mortgage, then she needs to up in her 8 hours and clean and cook and raise the kids. Now, they do make a point at the end of this video, when they say when Rich Cooper says alpha females don't exist. He makes the point that she makes the point actually when she says these type of 50-50 relationships. She defined alpha female. He asked her, "Do you think alpha females exist?" And she kind of defined it as one of these women who are seeking 50-50 relationships. And this is a lot of what feminism is talking about with their little quote unquote equality BS, when in reality they really just want to rule. And that's what I think she was getting at. And she's got a great point. The man should not be coming home from work. And really, I don't even advise women to. I don't think a woman should be at home. She shouldn't be out at work. Now, if that's what she really wants to do, I'm egalitarian, hypothetically, on paper. Like, okay, if you can go do it and not get hit on and not cheat on your husband and not get distracted or whatever, and you just go work and then you come home, like, all right, cool. I don't have that much of a problem with it. But idealistically, it'd be best if she was at home raising the kids and keeping house, and maybe she could do a little online business or something. It's definitely a new era. It's a new age. But if we're talking about keeping the family together, if we're talking about growing love and values and things like that, if she's out working, if she's got her ambitions and careers in the world, right, in the matrix, how dedicated is she going to be to the relationship? How dedicated, how is she really going to stay on point in the relationship if she's got all these other worldly pursuits, when in reality, even she mentions here, she says something great. Go watch this video, man. Woman explains why men shouldn't date alpha females. Really, really watch this video. She explains, she did a great job. She explains that nothing could compare. She had a job. She was pursuing career or whatever. I don't know if it's part-time or full-time. She didn't specify, but she said, when I compare my job in the world to how I feel staying at home raising my kid and the joy I feel about doing that, and then when people compliment me on my child, like she says, there's no comparison. I feel way better than when I was, when I got a raise or when I was successful out in these jobs in the world. And this is the point. Women are really not happy in this type of scenario. Women are really happy being submissive to a man and to a relationship and raising children. And the other thing is, I made a point also on a different platform, social media. I made a point that a strong woman, a submissive woman does not necessarily mean she's not a strong woman. Submissive does not imply weakness per se. Actually, in fact, it takes strength to be submissive in a way. It's like, okay, I need to drop my goals and my pursuits and really make sure I'm keyed in and connected to my husband. Or people make fun of it and say, oh, you're a Christian, you're a Christ cuck, haha. But there's power in that submission. I know, because when I tap in and I submit to God, there's power there, right? It doesn't mean I fully forfeit and submit my own will, though. And it doesn't mean I fully forfeit and submit my own ideas and things like that. And a proper leader, whether it's a man or whether it's God or whatever, proper leader is not going to ask you to forfeit your ideas, not going to ask you to forfeit your contribution so that he can do everything, because that's not an alpha. Really, that's not an alpha. If again, I'll repeat, if the man is controlling if he is not a proper leadership, then he's not really a proper alpha. It's like, sometimes you got to step back and say, oh yeah, your idea is good, that's right, we'll go with that. It's about the outcome. It's about the positive, healthy, quality outcome. That's what it's about. It's about the team effort. It's not about what you want, your selfishness, things like that. When it comes to family, you to some extent you sacrifice that. And again, I'll go back to this. It's a garden. You grow love. You grow togetherness. You learn how to grow with each other. And that way, there's real love. It's not just, everybody's doing their own thing and they're all just in the family. He's got his room. He's doing his own thing. She's got her room. She's doing her own thing. And that's really kind of divisive, right? When you're really together and you're really loving each other, you're kind of connected in the greater good for the family, and you're connected in a bond. There's a family bond. There's a familial bond there where you are all connected. And you share experiences, and you share successes, and you share, going forward, things that you do going forward, whether it's a hobby or comedy or good, enjoying good food, helping each other be more healthy, exercising together, all these things. That's what a proper family does. That's what it's together. It's growing each other, and there's protection in that. There's joy in that. There's love in that. And there's things that you would never get if you were just out messing around on Tinder, if you were just out being rogue, if you were just out doing your own thing or doing all the weird shit that people do today, like collect action figures and all the weird shit, man. I've seen so much weird shit that people do, and, write blogs and all this stuff. It's just so independent, and these people are just void of that, what they could have, which is a family love, and then there's a great bond there. But anyway, I got to be careful when I talk about this kind of stuff, because it's so warped today, that so many people are so warped that this is really just kind of pie in the sky idealism at this point. It used to be the norm. It used to be traditionalism was the norm. And then it got messed up because of second wave feminism. And this is what I talk about so much on my channel. I talk about it so much that second wave feminism was the worst thing that ever happened to America. I believe behind, outside of slavery and all this other stuff, all the other negatives that are happening in America, second wave feminism was absolutely horrible to the, for the fabric of society, because our families are really that important. Family is really that important. It is probably the bedrock foundation, cornerstone of society in general, because that's what we are. We're all families. We're humans, and humans should have a family. And if we're just out being rogue and being, degenerate, not having any moral compass, not having any wholesome values, not having any direction as far as where you're going in life and things like that, man, it can be very damaging, and it can be very lonely, and it can be very disheartening, and you lose part of who you are. You lose part of your soul like that. It's hard, but if you can really get quality family, if you can really get, if you can really experience that quality in family, then it's something that is very special. And it's sad that people want to tear that down. It's sad that feminism is so insidious in that it really ruins that, even to the point where where it encourages women killing their own babies, to support their own promiscuity and all these things. And and nowadays we have these concepts coming from feminism where, it's all 50-50 because it's all about equality, when in reality a lot of it is just the woman. She's leading, she's amogging the man. He's a weak beta guy because she went out and ran through the cock carousel. Now she's got she had her alpha fucks. Now she's got to get her beta bucks guys and, settle down with that docile beta, right? And then she's kind of psychologically, subconsciously, emotionally running the show. And he's just, yes, dear, yes, dear. I always use this example of Alice in Wonderland from Disney. If you go back and watch that movie, or you could just YouTube it, the clip where the king and the queen is like this domineering, absolute megalomaniac person, right? And the king is like this short little manlet, and he's like, yes dear, yes dear, yes dear. Like that's what so many of these relationships are. And it's like, that is not a family, man. That is not a marriage. That is a matriarchal rulership where she's subconsciously, psychologically ruling, because she's a strong female, but she's strong in a very negative way. She's domineering in a negative way. Domineering is not a good word when we're talking about females. A female being domineering is not good at all. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think you guys get my point. It's been Jay Lee with Northwest Podcast. Appreciate you listening. Peace.